It's time for some new LEGO Minifigure Habitats. Today we are looking at some minifigures from the CMF Series 13. We have the Carpenter on the left and the Sheriff on the right. We are going to start right from the Sheriff. Very cool and interesting minifigure. So here we have our regular base. This is going to be a sort of Western, Far West kind of build. I have dark tan at the bottom with some tan on top to create a little bit of interesting pattern on the floor. On the back side, we're going to build a saloon because, of course, we cannot build a scene like this without a saloon. And I'm already starting to build up a little bit of stairs for the entrance into the saloon. You can see here I'm using a broken piece. This was not broken on purpose, of course. This is one of those brittle brown pieces that I kept in my collection for when I need to do stuff like that. So it looks like the stairs have been a bit worn off or something like that. Then I have some jumper and then one more step, and I will have to add a little bit of additional terrain on the side just to make sure that everything is a little bit more stable and looks a bit better. Now I'm gonna build the door. I have this very simple structure with two substructures, and I have some brackets on the side, you can see. I use those because I want to make it look like they are actually connected with something on the wall, even though they're not actually connected. All around that, I have a structure with modified bricks and tiles. Very simple, very straightforward, and nothing difficult over here. And this is gonna just go there around the door with a little bit of space on top. I think it works quite well, and those brackets help me to fill that gap a little bit and make it look like they are actually connected, even though they cannot be moved, they cannot be operated well. Initially, I was thinking to use slopes, the 1x2 for the wall, but they were sticking out a little bit too much, and I cannot work with that in this scale. You can see, of course, the minifigure is not in scale with the door, but that's the compromise that we need to make in order to build minifigure habitats sometimes. I'm adding a couple of wanted signs, the one that comes with a minifigure, and another one that I had in my collection, and then I'm going to do the roof. I'm using simple inch bricks, and then I'm coming down and I'm using some bar pieces. Again, this is in order to keep this a little bit smaller, a little bit skinnier. If I build some proper 1x1 column with bricks or round bricks, it would be too thick and it will take a lot of space and will block a lot of view, a lot of the details that I will put in this habitat. We have an open space over there. I'm going to add a detail. I'm going to add a skull over there at the entrance of the saloon. I have this piece that is some sort of like droid kind of torso in white with some of these small horns on the side, and then I have a connection at the back side, and it's going to connect there. I have that minifigure stand angle stud piece that I always like to use in my builds. So this is already quite interesting, but of course later on we are going to add some more details to the scene. Now, I think we need to move on to the left side of the build. Over there, I was initially thinking to build a sort of sheriff's office, jail kind of thing, and this was the structure that I was working with. But it didn't really work well, the color didn't match, the scale didn't match. So I think this has to be a scene that is a little bit open, a little bit wider. We are in the Far West. So I decided to just go with some more regular sky and adding a little bit of a hint of some canyon or some natural structure in the background. Very simple, very straightforward layer of plates, and then a bright sun on top. Of course, if you like this kind of canyon kind of structure, like you can see over here, you can go and check out a micro scale habitat that I did some times ago. Similar technique. It was a very interesting canyon build, and that was part of a bigger project with a stack of micro-scale habitats. I'm going to add the sheriff here, and the idea here is to build a sort of duel. I apologize if my hands don't really match my voice because I messed up a little bit with the recording the audio, so I'm basically doing a voiceover at the moment. So here is the minifigure that is supposed to kind of match the wanted sign at the back. So it's the same minifigure head and the same shape of the head. It's a bit weird because that hat that I have in my collection comes with blonde hair, so it looks a bit weird in my opinion, but that's the best thing I could come up with. And potentially I could add it there, and that's it. But I think I can do better. I can add more details to this habitat. So we have a barrel with some tools, there's a bottle, there's a cape. At the back side, I'm gonna put one of these black whip that helps to give a little bit of contrast. And then I also have a cartwheel that I'm gonna put on the right side just behind that bar piece. And I think now in terms of details, we are good. Now I want to extend a little bit the surrounding area to make this feels more open and a little bit more interesting. So on the right side, I'm gonna add a cacti. By the way, I forget. On top, you can see I only have one stud there. So it's gonna be a little bit difficult to connect another habitat on top. But we still have one point of connection. And if you put another habitat on the right side with a supporting wall there, then you are still able to add another habitat on top, even though there is only one stud. Little build over here, I create a new kind of style of cacti using these fairly recent pieces that I use upside down in olive green for a medieval build some time ago. You might have seen on my channel. That was a vignette for, I think, last year's Summer Joust, if I'm not wrong. And over here, we can connect the second character in the scene. On the left side, I build another cacti using these printed parts that come from the tiny plants. Of course, you can see the mock build review that I did about the tiny plants, and I will put also down below a link to the Amazon US in case you want to go and purchase. It's a very good part spec, and I might also add the link for this minifigure if I find them on the website. Here we have another sort of planting, or it could be one of those, rolling balls that you can see in this kind of Western movies. And to give a little bit of color, I can also add a little snake here on the side. And I think this is a very interesting habitat. Now, moving on, I think we can start to talk about the Carpenter. Simple minifigure. I really like the printed tile that come with it and the accessories. Now, the idea here is to build a sort of mixed build with an indoor area and an outdoor area. The indoor area, of course, is going to be the workshop of this carpenter, and then we have some nature outside. I did something similar in one of my favorite habitats. That was the Princess Jasmine Aladdin build with an indoor area, balcony kind of thing, and the outside area with the dark blue sky. So something similar, so the space of the habitat will be smaller. For the floor, I brick build or a plate build sideways, so a little bit of different shades of tan and brown, all built sideways with a couple of particular pieces to make it more interesting. This is going to connect sideways to the bracket, and then I have another sort of bracket in the corner that will help me to make everything sturdy and solid, so that floor is not going to go everywhere. It's pretty nice and solid. On the back side, very simple structure with the sky on top and the reddish brown. In the middle, I'm going to add a sort of area with all the tools of the carpenter. Nothing particular here. I went through my collection and I picked all the tools that I thought could be fitting the scene, and I just add there. So where you see the end of the brown, you have to imagine like that would be the ceiling of this workshop, and on the back side is just a plain blue sky, because most of that is not going to be seen, so it's not going to be as boring as it is now. I have a little plant in dark green over there in the corner, and then I added a tree. The structure of the tree is very straightforward. The trunk is not going to be seen. On top, I'm using the fern pieces upside down. Very simple, very straightforward. Now, this is a structure I came for the wall to separate the two areas. To save some space, instead of using bricks, I'm using plates and tiles, so the structures stay a little bit skinnier, and I can use a modified brick then to connect it at the back. On top, I added a sort of ledge, a little bit of cover to the outside with some slopes. Of course, the door is not in scale with the minifigure, again, compromising a little bit. And inside that window, you can see I added a wand piece from the top. This is to make it look a little bit like it's a kind of split into windows kind of thing. Not so sure if it works well, but I still leave it in there. Now, I need to take it apart a little bit in order to do the connection properly. So I have a modified brick there in the corner to which I can add this structure straight up. Then I can put back the tree. As you can see, only the top of the tree can be seen. And then I can put back again all the background. So you can see the space is pretty tight, but at least the tree is coming off in the background and give a little bit of a pop of color. Now, we need to add the details on the inside. I actually was thinking to add some like little bit of logs of wood outside, but then there was not much space and they wouldn't be seen. So I scrapped that and I just add the details in the middle. So we have these two printed Minecraft bricks, I think, that they work well as a sort of drawer cabinet at the back, and on top a simple dark blue toolbox that I think perfectly fit the theme. On the side, I'm gonna put another container with some, let's say, already small cuts of wood, and a big hammer on the side. This is a torch hammer, but it's just another tool to add to the collection of these Carpenter. You can see I have a modified plate in the top right corner. Over there, I thought I could hang something. So I'm gonna add a bag over there. It could be another bag of accessory, or it could be a bag that the Carpenter come and hang there before he starts to work. Also helps to break down a little bit the reddish brown and give a little bit of color. In the middle, I'm gonna add a big log piece. I have that nice round printed tile. The Carpenter is gonna use that as a sort of working table, so we can add down a minifigure on a slight angle, working on cutting these 1x4 tile, and I can add at the front a couple of quarter tiles to make it look like those are pieces of already wood, cut wood. So here is my latest two habitat. I think they look pretty nice, pretty happy with that. I actually forget that at the back. I wanted to black out that door so it doesn't look like we can see the white in the background. And that's all. Pretty nice habitat. If you want to see more habitats from this series, I actually have a very nice one that was the Snake Charmer from the same minifigure series. I did some time ago, but I think it's a well done habitat and you can go and check it out. Thank you very much for supporting. Check out the links down below, and I will see you very soon with a new Lego diorama, a very interesting project next week. Thank you very much for watching. Ciao, ciao.